What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, your pop culture best friend. And as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. First and foremost, I just want to go ahead and apologize that this week's episode is a day late. If you do not follow me on Instagram, first of all, what are you doing? Second of all, I went to go see John Waters last night at the 92NY, and I am so glad that I did. It was just such an honor to be able to see somebody as influential as John Waters. Not only get to see him speak about his work, but then I got to meet him after he did like a book signing. And it was just so insane to be able to like see him talk about all of these works that are so major in, you know, the queer spaces and film. And he is just such a pillar in pop culture, you know, like had it not been for John Waters writing Hairspray in the 80s, we would not have the 2007 masterpiece that is Hairspray. Like he has truly, like, talk about somebody who has created culture and not just like followed any type of trend or anything. Like he has set the trends, he has made the culture, and like people kind of flock to recreate what he has done. And he is just somebody who has really created things to the beat of his own drum. And it was so inspiring to hear him talk about these projects. He was saying, like, I always went into these projects with little to no budget. We had no permission to film, you know, in my early days. We just would show up with a script and a dream and like hope that we didn't get in trouble. And like they would get arrested sometimes for having public indecency, and they would, you know, have to bribe people to let them film and things like that. And he was saying when he had this idea of this giant lobster coming down and attacking Divine, he was like, I didn't know how I was going to make the lobster and how I was going to bring this to life, but I knew I could, and I would just figure it out when I got there. And it was just inspiring as somebody who is, you know, in this creator space, obviously not to the level of movies in which John Waters was creating, but just as somebody who is, you know, doing the podcast, his own content, things like that, especially in today's day and age when so many people are doing it. It's easy to compare yourself to other people's quality or what other people are doing or things like that. And him just being like, just create and figure it out and like fuck everybody else. I was like, this is exactly what I needed to hear as I'm coming up on the 2-year anniversary of this podcast. It was just a very, just surreal moment to be able to like meet John Waters, who again is just an icon and someone who I look up to so much, but also just hearing him speak about how he creates just kind of gave me this new idea on the way that you should approach your life. And he had this whole bit about like, once you turn 30, it's like, all right, say goodbye to all of your childhood trauma, put it in the, you know, put it away, pack it away. It's time to move on and like create your dream life. And obviously, you know, not everybody can just do that as simply as that, but the sentiment was there. And I was like, this is exactly what I needed to hear in this era of my life. I feel like this year has been quite the adventure, you know, as you guys know, you listen every week, you know, all the stuff that's been going on this year. So it was just a great night and a really cool event. And I love going to 92NY. They always do a really cool conversation. So I am very happy that, you know, I decided to shift my schedule, take myself out on a little solo date and go see John Waters. That being said, next week's episode is also going to be a day late. I'm sorry to, you know, start this with an apology and then being like, well, I'm going to do it again. But next week, my boyfriend and I do have tickets to go see a comedy show on Tuesday night. So we're going to push the podcast to, it'll be out on Thursday next week, same as this week. So my apologies, but we have to live our lives. And that is exactly what I am doing. Speaking of living my life, I was so incredibly humbled this weekend, and I'm almost embarrassed to admit this on the podcast because I pride myself as somebody who truly doesn't get hungover. Like I typically, after a night out, like I will wake up, I'll be a little like tired, maybe a tiny headache, but like I can get up and I'll go to a workout class the next morning, no problem. Like it's just who I am. I've always been this way. It's probably a problem, but you know what? Like I've made it this far. However, this Saturday, I saw Jesus. I legitimately thought I was going to die Saturday morning when I woke up. We went out Friday night. We went to Hell's Kitchen. We were just like bopping around, you know, had a few drinks, had a few cocktails, did our thing. And I wasn't, by all means, I was drunk, but I wasn't like blackout. Like I was tipsy, teetering drunk. You know, I never even got to the point of like browning out, graying out, nothing. Like I remember the entire night. I remember all the conversations that I had. I remember all of the songs that they played. Like I fully remember the entire night up until even getting home and like ordering food on the way home and sitting down and eating it. And like the whole, I remember all of it. Like I've had much crazier nights. When I tell you, I woke up on Saturday morning and I legitimately was like, I might be in hell. Like I might have died in my sleep. The pain that I felt behind my eyes, in my head, I was dehydrated and there was not enough water in the world to quench my thirst. Like I don't know what was in my drinks or what was going on, but I was like, is this 30? And like I said, I pride myself. I don't get hungover. Like it's not something that I subscribe to. I tell myself before I go to bed after a night out, like, you're not going to be hungover. Hungover is a state of mind. You know, you can get through it. You can talk yourself through it. This one, there was no talking. I was talking to a fucking wall. I don't know if my 30s are catching up to me. I don't know if what was going on. Cause it definitely wasn't the 10 tequila sodas that I had. Like I've drank more than that in a night out. And like, I don't know what happened. I was so embarrassed. I was like, I am off my game. I don't know what happened. I don't know what came over me. I don't know who that was on Friday night, but I hope I never meet them again because I can't be doing that. Like I have a lot more party in me. I have a lot more nights out in me. Like I'm 30 years old. I am not retiring this life just yet. But that can't keep happening. I got to figure that out because that was not okay. Now that I've exposed myself for not being able to hang anymore, apparently, I'll have to test this through. I'll keep you guys updated on my journey. And now before we get into today's episode, I just want to take a second. And this is the most important thing I will say the entire episode. So if you're listening to anything, listen to this. New York City, the time has come to vote for our next mayor. And it is so incredibly important to vote in this upcoming election. If you have moved to New York City in the last few months or year, whatever, and you never updated your voter registration, there is still no excuse. You can change your voter registration up until Saturday, October 25th. Like you literally have 48 hours still from when this episode goes live to update your voter registration, and you are able to vote in this week's election. There is no more delay in, changing your registration or mailing anything in. You can literally go to nycvotes.org, I have it linked down below. Resubmit your voter registration and boom, bam, you are registered in New York City. If you live in New York City, it is so important to vote in New York City. I don't care if you keep your address in Virginia because you want to keep it at your parents' house. It's time to rip off the Band-Aid. You don't live in Virginia. You don't live in Connecticut. You don't live in Texas anymore. You moved to New York City to chase your dream life. Now vote for your dream life because it is so important that we are voting for Zoran and making sure that Zoran becomes our next mayor. I cannot stress it enough. If you need any information on voting, DM me, tweet me, send a bat signal, whatever you need. I will send you all the links that you need, but I will have everything linked down below. But if you are in New York City, please do not be part of the problem who are not voting. You have a voice, fucking use it. Like I said, rip the Band-Aid off. You don't live at home anymore. You live in New York City. And if you are here chasing your dream, you want that city life, you want the big city dreams and the lights and the hustle and bustle of New York. It's time to vote in New York City. So please make sure you are registered. Early voting starts on Saturday, October 25th and goes until November 2nd. And then election day is November 4th. So there are so many ways that you can vote. Make sure you're getting to the polls. Make sure you're using your voice and make sure you are voting for Zoran. I cannot stress it enough. It is so important to vote in this election. But that being said, let's get on with the show because we have a lot to chat about today. And kicking things off the way that we always do with our Drew releases, our new music releases from last week and our new releases coming up this week. And I am going to be so completely honest with you guys because I like to keep it real. I like to give you guys my full, real, transparent self. I didn't listen to a single release from last week. I fully some weeks I'm so on it. I am so good with listening to the albums the day that they come out and being on top of it. I didn't. We had Carly Rae Jepsen, Ash Nico, Kim Petras. Haven't listened to any. I've listened to Kim in the snippets. I haven't listened to the entire song yet. And I'm loving what I am hearing. And it is not produced by Dr. Luke. So we cheer for that. But I truly did not listen to anything more than the few snippets that I heard. So my sincerest apologies. I will catch up on these releases and give you guys my full take on everything once I get to them next week. However, I did release our Taylor Swift, The Life of a Showgirl episode with Delaney on Monday. So that's what I was busy doing all weekend, just kind of seeping in on that album, really taking it in, reading the lyrics and making sure I was all good to go on that episode. And that is up now on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. So if you are interested in me and Delaney, our official Taylor Swift correspondence takes on The Life of a Showgirl, we go track by track, breaking it down lyric by lyric, production choices, callbacks to old albums, double entendres and things like that on the album. That episode is there for you, and you can blame that episode on why I am unprepared with last week's releases. But coming up this week, we have a lot of releases as well. So I have a lot of music to catch up on before we can even get this week's releases. We have Demi Lovato releasing her new album, It's Not That Deep. Slater is releasing a new single called Crash. Halle Bailey is releasing her debut album, Love, or Is It Something Like That? And Megan Thee Stallion is releasing her new single, Lover Girl. So big releases this week. I'm very excited. You guys know I've been very excited for this Demi Lovato album, which is not a sentence that I have said in years. So I am really excited to see how this album all comes together after the few singles that we've gotten, and this whole kind of like new party girl but not partying kind of vibe that she's giving us. Very excited for this album. Also, Slater, Halle Bailey, like Megan, we have very big releases coming up this week. So I have a lot of homework to do, and I make sure, I will cross my T's, dot my I's before next week's episode. I have an extra day also next week because I'm recording late, so I'll have extra time to catch up on all of this. But that is our Drew releases. I were very quick and, sped through Drew releases. Now let's get into some pop culture rapid fire, some pop culture moments from the week that were just too pop to handle. And this week's episode is going to be a little bit of like a pop culture catch up, a pop culture yapathon, if you will. Didn't really have anything that I wanted to like spend a chunk of time on. So I'm just kind of rattling off some pop culture rapid fire things. We're going to go through what's going on with the girls, with the gays, with the theys, with the thems, and just kind of chit chat, So buckle up and let's talk about some pop culture bullshit. Kicking it off with some news that when I read this, I was like, are we living in a movie? Like, what fucking year is it? $100 million worth of jewels were stolen from the Louvre in Paris. And now it is the year 2025. What do you mean 4 men robbed the world's most visited museum in broad daylight and then rode off on scooters? Like, something about this is screaming inside job to me, because the fact that they were able to show up to the Louvre in construction outfits, put an entire like lift up to the second floor, walk up to the floor or whatever, get up to the second floor, get into the window using power tools, take these jewels, $102 million worth of jewels, get out of the Louvre and ride away on scooters? Like, this just seems... This like doesn't happen, especially at a museum as high scale as the Louvre. Like, this just seems so Ocean's 11. This seems so movie heist and like something that doesn't happen anymore. And I just feel like something's weird here. Like, somebody had to have some inside scoop or an inside tip, or like they gave the guards some of the jewels or something, because like, how did this happen? How did 4 men literally use power tools to get into the Louvre in broad daylight and get away with these jewels? It just does not make sense to me. What also doesn't make sense is like, now what do they do with those jewels? My theory is they took the jewels out of the jewelry, like out of the necklaces, the earrings, whatever. I forget exactly what they stole, but I'm assuming they took all of the jewels and the diamonds out and then just like sold those separately, because those are harder to identify than the entire pieces. I don't know what they're going to do with like the silver and the gold plating around the jewels, but I'm assuming that they've like, those jewels are gone. Like, these pieces are no longer intact, I would imagine, because like, what do you do with them? Like, you're obviously taking them to sell them to get the money because they're worth $102 million. But like, what do they do in the meantime to like get the jewels out? And like, how are they able to ride off with $102 million worth of jewels on scooters? None of this makes sense to me. And I'm so confused at like this very elite high-end museum fully being robbed. Something's not adding up. Something is weird here. And I don't know. I'm not going to get to the bottom of this, but I hope somebody does, because I am invested. And let us not forget, this is not the first time that the Louvre has been robbed in recent years. It was also robbed in 2018 at the Grammys when Lorde's Melodrama did not win Album of the Year. So this is now the second robbery that we are seeing in relation to the Louvre in recent years. Something is up, and somebody's got to get to the bottom of this. I know back in like the 1900s when the Mona Lisa was stolen, it was stolen by an employee. So I don't know if these were like employees at the Louvre or like friends or family of employees or something, but like there had to be some type of inner workings or like studying done of this museum, or like knowing where to get in and things like that. Like, something about this just does not sit right with me. And yeah, I don't know. I am so tapped in and I am so curious. what's going to come about these jewels and this jewelry and everything, because like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? I expect this to happen in like the early 2000s, maybe the 90s, the 80s, you know, I expect this back in the day, but we have such great technology and safety, so they say nowadays, that like something isn't right, something isn't adding up. And I am very, very curious to see how this all turns out. But that being said, I'm not a detective, nor am I going to fly to Paris to try to figure this out. So moving on to the next moment of the week, that was just too pop to handle, because what the hell else am I supposed to do? Lorde is just continuing to stab me in the back time and time again. And you know what? Third time just really might take me out. Over the weekend, she performed at the Kia Forum in Los Angeles and brought out Charli XCX to perform Girl So Confusing for the third time. The first time hurt the most, I will say, because it was here in New York City at Madison Square Garden during the Sweat Tour. That one really stung. And that one I actually was like, I think I might die. Like, I wasn't there. I couldn't get a ticket. It was catastrophic. The second time, Coachella, fine. I couldn't be there if I wanted to. I was watching it live on the live stream, like, you know, how they do every year for Coachella. I was like, this is fine. I wasn't going to be at Coachella anyway. It is what it is. And now this time doesn't hurt as much because, you know, it was in LA and it was, you know, I wasn't planning on going anyway, but it still fucking stings. And I am swallowing the pill that like, I will never see Charli XCX and Lorde perform Girl So Confusing together, because I do feel like third time's a charm and like they're not going to do it anymore. I'm going to see her in December at the Barclays Center. I did not go to the Garden show for Lorde's Ultrasound Tour because I was going to see Addison Rae that night, and I thought it was a fair trade. Like, I wasn't going to suffer and go see Addison Rae at Terminal 5, knowing that Lorde had other New York shows. So I skipped out on the Garden, which is big. And it was really weird knowing that she was in New York and I didn't go see her. But I figured between like seeing her at Baby's All Right and going in at Barclays Center, like I was like, I will see her. I need to go see my girl Addison, and you know, it'll all even out. But like, I'm just swallowing the pill that like Lorde and Charli will never perform Girl So Confusing in front of my eyes. And you know, it's a hard pill to swallow, but it is okay. It is fine. You know, I have seen them both separately so many times. I can just imagine the euphoric feeling that would be seeing the two of them together. Now, I'm only going to one Barclays show as of now. I'll probably end up at both. But as of right now, I have tickets to one. If I go to one of them and the other show that I go to, she brings out Charli, I might burn down the entire city. Like, I might actually make it everybody's problem in a way that will like do irreversible damage to everybody in my vicinity, because like that'll be the straw that breaks the camel's back. I'm not going to lie, but I'm not going to put that energy out into the universe. You know, I'm going to manifest good things or no things at all. But it is very fun to see that Lorde and Charli keep doing this together, and they were supporting each other on these endeavors. Of course, with Lorde going out to the Sweat Tour and then Coachella, that was such a big deal for Charli. And also just like Lorde being there at the Garden with Troy. Obviously, he was on the tour, but then Addison came out. It was just like a fun little group that they had going for that night. Coachella, like I said, big deal for Charli. And now that Lorde is headlining the Forum, it's just, you know, it's nice to see them all, the two of them supporting each other all this time and still continuing to like, not just like record a remix and be like, oh, we just wanted to put it out to like make a big internet moment. Like, they truly are riding for each other the way that they said in the song. And it is very heartwarming to see that these two girls who couldn't work it out previously have actually worked it out on the remix and are continuing to, you know, let their relationship flourish. One can only hope that Charli and another pop star who has recently made some words about her can work it out on a remix. But I think that is much more off target than seeing Lorde and Charli continue to perform Girl So Confusing together. But that being said, and moving on to the next moment of the week, that was just too pop to handle. Oh man, this next one grinds my fucking gears. And now it kind of goes full circle on this podcast, because the very first episode of this podcast came out 2 years ago this Friday, which is insane to think about. But 2 years ago, on the very first episode of this podcast, the big moment of the week was the fact that Britney Spears had just released her memoir, The Woman in Me. Now, 2 years later, Kevin Federline, most notably known as Britney Spears' ex-husband, but he is also a dancer and a DJ and a deadbeat dad, has released his memoir, You Thought You Knew. And he is just proving how much of a garbage human being he is. So he has released his memoir, and in said memoir, he is painting a picture basically of Britney as this erotic wife and terrible mother, claiming that Britney was drinking while she was pregnant and doing cocaine while her sons were still breastfeeding. He also said that when the boys were teenagers, the couple's sons were fearful of Spears because they would wake up sometimes at night to find her standing silently in a doorway watching them sleep, saying, "Oh, you're awake," with a knife in her hand. She'd then turn around and pad off without explanation. And I just am like, okay, we all know Britney has been through it, and she has not always been the most stable or the most sane person. We can all agree on that, and I am Team Britney till the day that I die. She could spin around in that kitchen with those knives in her hand until the cows come home, and I will like every single video and still say, we needed to free Britney. She deserves to do whatever the fuck she wants, and I stand by that. However, if all of this is true, and if these things were going on over the years, why is this the first time he is talking about this? Why did he wait until a year after Britney stopped paying him child support to decide to start exposing all of this erratic and insane behavior? It just makes no sense to me. And he has previously said in interviews and in plenty of press moments, because he can't do an interview without talking about Britney Spears, he has said time and time again that they are on fine terms, like they are okay. They're not friends by all means. They don't like chit chat and hang out and kiki, but like they're okay, like they are civil, whatever. And now suddenly this memoir comes out and he has so much to say about Britney and her parenting. And I'm like, if you were saying all of these things to, you know, help your children and make, you know, a safer environment for them, sure. But say it 18 years ago when it's happening. Now your sons are 20 and 18 years old, I believe, or maybe 22 and 18. I forget the age difference, but one of them just turned 18, now 19, I guess, this year, last year. And suddenly all of this is coming out. It all seems so cash grabby to me, and it really grinds my gears. He also shared that he was very supportive of her conservatorship and said that in the early days of it was a lifeline for them. And all of this coming out now is just so grimy to me, and I can't deal with the way that people use Britney as like a pawn in their money schemes and like their press moments. It just makes me so angry. So he writes, "This is about me finally telling my story, my version in my words, because everybody else has done it for me. The media, the blogs, the exes, the strangers, the jokes, the headlines, they all had something to say about me, and I stayed quiet." Now, sure, yeah, you have stayed quiet, but you also have stayed quiet while Britney was paying you $20,000 in child support every month, as well as an additional $20,000 in alimony every single month from the divorce. So you were getting $40,000 from Britney Spears every single year for the last, I don't even know how many years, which is $40,000 a month. That is a salary that people make in a year. And he was getting this monthly from this woman for years up until last November. And now suddenly you want to rip off, the Band-Aid and you want to expose all of this stuff. It just seems incredibly fishy. And I am just so tired of people using Britney Spears in a way of like, using her for money, using her for clout, trying to paint her as this crazy woman. And now, like I said, Britney has definitely had some moments where the screws were loose and, her behavior was a little erratic and things weren't always, looking as great as they should. She's definitely had her moments. The breaking of the window with the umbrella after she shaved her head, driving with her toddler in the front seat of the car. Like, she has definitely made some questionable decisions. I am not turning any of that away. What I am turning a blind eye at is the fact that suddenly now her ex-husband is deciding to come forward with all of these really insane allegations, doing cocaine while she was breastfeeding, drinking while she's pregnant, standing at her kid's door frame with a knife. I just feel like if all of these things were true, they would have been said years ago, before the boys were adults, before any of this was written in a book, and before it was a cash grab to get the media talking about him. And I hate that I'm even talking about him because it's working, but Britney has spoken out. And for Britney to make a tweet they don't always make the most sense, but she gets the point across. So over the weekend, she posted a very long tweet, two very long tweets. And the first one said, "The constant gaslighting from my ex-husband is extremely hurtful and exhausting. I have always pleaded and screamed to have a life with my boys. Relationships with teenage boys are complex. I have felt demoralized by the situation and have always asked and almost begged for them to be a part of my life. Sadly, they have always witnessed a lack of respect shown by their own father for me. They need to take responsibility for themselves, with one son seeing me for only 45 minutes in the past 5 years and the other only with 4 visits in 5 years. I have pride too. From now on, I will let them know when I am available. Trust me, those white lies in that book, they are going straight to the bank, and I am the only one who genuinely gets hurt here. I will always love them, and if you really know me, you won't pay attention to the tabloids of my mental health and my drinking. I am actually a pretty intelligent woman who has been trying to live a sacred and private life for the past 5 years. I speak on this because I've had enough, and any real woman would do the same." And the fact that she is making it a point to be like, I have, listened to these people make up lies about me and said all these things, and she's coming forward with saying all this stuff. I just feel like, what else can these people do? Like, how much more can they wring from Britney before she has some bigger type of psychotic break? Like like I said, she's had her fair share of moments, but I'm just like, why can't people just leave her alone? Not to go Chris Crocker on you guys, but like, leave Britney alone. Like, leave her alone. She's minding her business, twirling around in her kitchen with some knives. She is going on vacation, doing her thing, and just like making some Instagram collages. Does it ever make sense? No, but like, the girl has been through a lot, and like, she has truly been in the public eye for, God, 30 plus years. Like, just leave her alone. It is so insane to me that like, all of these years later, suddenly Kevin Federline has all of this shit to say about Britney, and it's conveniently a year after she has to stop paying him $40,000 a month. Like, it just seems way too convenient for this timing. And like, there's been a lot of stuff about her and her kids back and forth, and I thought they were on good terms. Honestly, I thought I remember seeing them together, but maybe it was one of the 5 visits, or within the 45 minutes they snapped a picture. I don't know exactly, I don't know the ins and outs. None of us know the ins and outs of it actually, but all we know is what they are telling us and things like that. And it just seems a little too convenient that within the same calendar year or the same year in which the money stopped from Britney, now Kevin Federline puts out this book. I don't know. Something feels fishy to me, and we need to leave Britney Spears alone and let her just toil in the kitchen and do her damn thing. I can't. I cannot do it. Justin Timberlake, Kevin Federline, Jamie Lynn Spears, shut the fuck up and keep Britney's name out of your mouth. It is very simple. Leave her alone. I cannot. Moving on to the next moment of the week, that was just too pop to handle. Some other blonde pop star news. Sabrina Carpenter clocked in for double duty SNL, and my God, was our girl working. She delivered such a fabulous episode of SNL, and all I have to say is, when are we getting Sabrina Carpenter in a rom-com? I need her in an early 2000s, Legally Blonde, House Bunny, Mean Girls type rom-com, because she is truly the whole package. She can sing, she can act, she can dance, she's funny, she's stunning, she's in on the joke. She is truly the perfect pop star, and I genuinely feel like her next move has to be a movie, because she is just so good. She's just hysterical. I'm obsessed. So we're going to go through, not the entire episode, of course, because that would be a lot, seeing as she was on double duty and hosted and was a musical guest. But we're going to go through, just bits and pieces of it, starting at the top with the monologue. Just perfection. I mean, she does the bit about the album cover, which is such a hot topic earlier this year. And she talks about how it was just so unnecessary, and they photoshopped Bowen holding her up and saying she fell down after Martin Short pushed her. Like, it's just so ridiculous and so funny. And I love the way that Sabrina will fully just make a joke out of anything, and will literally take the high road and be like, oh, you guys want to say I'm being inappropriate? Here's what actually happened. Bowen Yang was pulling me off the ground. Like, she just knows how to be in on the joke. And she has been this way for so long. Like, she truly knows exactly how to just, like, when they go low, she goes fucking 50 feet higher and just like soars over these people. It is so admirable to watch. And a lot of people would crumble. I hate to, say this, but like, a lot of people would crumble under that type of criticism constantly, the way that she gets. But she's just kind of like, yeah, I don't really care. I'm going to do whatever I want. And this monologue was exactly that. I thought it was really funny the way that she like did the whole bit going through the audience, talking to all the people. And they were like, she was like, what do you do? And I forget what the job he said, but he said something, so boring. And she was like, awesome. Like, she's just so funny and go with the flow and just knows exactly what the audience wants. And she just sells it so well. I think this monologue was so good. She is so good at being famous. She is so funny. And it just nailed it. It kicked off the episode the exact way that we wanted. Even Kenan Thompson coming out and being like, hey, I wanted to get a cameo for my niece. She was like, sure, that'll be $200,000. Like, she says it so charismatically, is that a word? She says it with so much charisma. I don't know. You guys know what I mean. I thought the monologue was perfect and truly set us up for perfection. Moving on to the skits from the night. This is really where her like Disney Channel background thrives. I feel like she really lets the like slapstick, silly, funny comedy shine through in these skits. And you can just tell that she went to the Disney Channel University of doing comedy. It's just so good. And the way that she's matured her acting and her comedic timing, whether it's physical or her, the way that she delivers a line, like it has really matured with her and grown, even though she doesn't really exercise her acting chops as much anymore. She has really transitioned just to a full pop star since her Disney Channel days. And she did a few projects, I know, and she had like the Netflix movie, things like that. But in terms of like real acting in the last 2-3-ish years, she really has kind of put on the back burner. So to see her still be able to flex that comedy muscle in the skits, like the grind song or with the pillow, I thought like she just really is able to fully lock into these characters and like just turn it on and ham it up for the camera. Of course, we had another installment of the infamous Domingo sketch, and I do think this does have to be the final one. I feel like this is the 4th time they've done Domingo, and I just think we need to like end it here. I mean, it was such a major moment, and of course the Sabrina of it all, using espresso with Ariana on the first one, and then Sabrina does it again, and then Domingo, like they've done it so many times. And I do think having Sabrina kind of bookend it with the Abracadabra and the Alex Warren song, they use very current songs, they kind of bookend it. I think we can hang Domingo up. I don't really see a world in which they can keep doing it. Not that this sketch was bad, I thought it was hilarious, but I do think it's time to, okay, Sabrina, double duty, we've done this 4 times, let's let Domingo rest, and let's let, Kelsey and her husband live happily ever after, because the fact that her and Domingo keep hooking up while they are married, I mean, girl, Kelsey, what are we doing? We got to get it together. But it was funny. I loved it. I thought we knew it was going to happen. Like, it was just, they have to do it with Sabrina there. Like, it just makes sense. But I do think this is the final one. Also, I'm going to say what we're all thinking. Seeing this sketch without Heidi and Ego felt so incredibly wrong, which is another reason as to why I think the need to kind of put an end to this sketch that they're doing, because I think it has run its course. But it was very fun that Sabrina, I'm just saying it's going to be the final one. I don't know if it is or not, but it was very fun, assuming this is the final one, that Sabrina was there, like doing her double duty, doing her big one, and kind of bookending this insanely viral sketch that she didn't even act in the first one. It was just her song, and it went so insanely viral. So I'm thinking this is the final one. I think this is a great note to end it on. And I'm like, let's not beat a dead horse. Like, we're allowed to say goodbye to something when it's run its course. So hopefully this is the last time that we see Domingo, as much as I loved the sketches. Another one that I absolutely loved was the girl boss one. Like, it was just so funny the way she was just ragging on all of these like girl boss too close to the sun divas and whatever, and that whole vibe. She said she broke the glass ceiling by being the first woman to ever die, and that's on my period. And then she said there's a special place now for women who are women, and she just kept like making all of these feminist and female forward, and the only Susan IB is Anthony, and just like making all of these really funny jokes about how overly, there's being a feminist, and I obviously am a feminist and I empower women and I am always cheering for women in any sense of the way. But, there's definitely some performative feminism online where people kind of just like turn it up to a notch that is just so obviously performative. And I thought the way that they did this was hilarious. I do believe they were spoofing a TikTok creator. I wasn't familiar with her, but I saw somebody repost her being like, thank you so much for, using me on there, whatever. I don't know if she's doing a sketch or whatever. I'm not on that side of TikTok, but I did think the sentiment of this sketch was hilarious. The way they were like throwing her around, and then Chloe and Sarah were in the audience. They were like, she's got a concussion, like she is not okay. And just like the cult-like vibe that they gave with it, it was just very well done. And I thought it was very, especially with the current climate of the world, and the way that a lot of people are just kind of like turning this performative vibe on to, you know, get a few clicks and go viral, and then they're not actually like following through and actually like showing up to the polls or actually going out and protesting or donating or whatever. Like there's a lot of that happening right now. And I thought this was a very fun way to kind of just poke fun at it, because if we're not poking fun at the shit going on in the world, it's no longer fun. It is just a fucking shit show. But I really do think Sabrina like just shines in this comedic way. And I really, I think it's time for her to hang up the pop star thing for a little bit and give us some movies, because I think she would just kill it. Like, of course, I don't want Sabrina to stop making music. Of course, I want her to keep giving us music, but she's given us 3 albums in 3 years. Like, I think it's time for her to pump the brakes a little bit and maybe dive into acting a little, and just one, give us a fun, silly rom-com, or like an early 2000s type, like I said, House Bunny, Legally Blonde. Like, I just think it would be so good. And in a world in which nostalgia sells, and those kind of movies would do so well if they brought that kind of style back, get her in the studio. Let's get this happening. Or not the studio. Get her on a lot and let's make this happen, because I think this was really like the nail in the coffin that we needed to like prove that she's ready for a big movie. Like, I want to see it, and I'll be holding my breath waiting for it to happen, because I think it is closer than we think. And I don't know anything. I literally know nothing in terms of what is next for Sabrina Carpenter's career. I didn't even think we would be getting a new Sabrina Carpenter album this year, and look at how that turned out. So I don't know anything, but I'm just saying, I think this really does set her up for a lot of people to be knocking on her door to get her in some type of movie, because she did such a knockout job. Rounding it out, and speaking about knockout jobs, of course, she performed as well, because what can't she do? This is where Sabrina, this is her bread and butter. Like, this is what she does. Little quirky things throughout, like the bobbleheads and the fishbowl, like all of it just like is so kind of out there a little bit, but so on the nose. Like, Sabrina's really good at not letting us know what to expect, but once you see it, you're like, yeah, why didn't we expect her to fuck around with these bobbleheads? And the little thing with the dance moves with the saxophone player, I thought that was really cute. Just a great performance and so much fun. And seeing Sabrina being able to kind of like take these songs and apply them to so many different scenarios, I think it really goes to show the way that she creates her music and kind of creates her art, that it doesn't have to be a one-track thing. And the Man-Child music video is a clusterfuck of situations. I mean, she's like playing a claw machine and getting fish at one point, and the guy drives off the cliff, and now she's performing it in a bedroom, and it still makes so much sense. Like, she just has a really great way of kind of extending the longevity of the songs and her visuals, and it's really impressive and not an easy thing to do. And then the second performance was Nobody's Son, and being fully honest, at first I didn't understand why we were doing karate to this song. It just like didn't make sense until we got to the part where she is kicking the guys in the balls on beat and, you know, punching them in the face and breaking the boards on the kind of part, you know, like then it all made sense. I did take a little while to get there, and I was like, why are we just watching these guys do karate? But it almost is that same idea where like Sabrina can do something and it doesn't make sense, but like that's why it makes sense. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like, she can do these like weird zany kind of things, and we're like, what is she doing? But like, she doesn't put herself in a box, and that allows her to do these more out of the box things, which is literally what it means to not put yourself in a box. But you guys know what I mean. I don't know. Overall, great job on SNL this weekend. I thought she just really knows how to sell herself and how to truly like polished all of her talents and not like let anything slip. Like she was so good at everything she did this weekend. I thought this was a standout night and just like a great stamp in her pop star passport, you know? And I will be waiting for when she gets her early 2000s rom-com moment. It'll come eventually. I'm telling you guys right now, we're going to get Sabrina Carpenter starring in a movie in the next year or so, and you heard it here first. The next moment of the week that we're just too pop to handle is one of my favorite liars in the music industry, Miss Miley Cyrus. So she is Vogue France's cover girl for November, and she's talking a lot about her fashion and kind of, you know, the style inspiration she's drawing from, which makes sense for Vogue. And even when you look at the Something Beautiful visual album, she's so couture and these archival pieces. And that's kind of been the lane that she's going down over the last few years. I mean, even if you look at the Flowers music video and even the Endless Summer Vacation backyard sessions and all the promo stuff that she did for that, like was very couture and all of that. And she's always been a very fashion forward girl, but I feel like in the last 2 or 3 years, she's really just like jumped into it in a way that we haven't seen before. And it's great. I mean, she's the face of Maison Margiela, I believe it was. She's also doing a collab with Maybelline, I believe it is. She's just like the face of a lot of these big brands right now. And she's really capitalizing on that. And I love that for her. I think she has the look. She's like a chameleon. She can adapt to different hairstyles, makeup styles, hair colors, outfits. She can make anything look good. So I love this like couture, avant-garde kind of vibe that she's going for. And she talks about how she's so inspired by all of these designers and wants to be wearing these custom couture outfits and things like that. And all of that makes so much sense to me. But I just cannot deal with the way that Miley Cyrus lies about touring. This is now like the 4th or 5th time she has told a different reason as to why she's not going on tour. She said she wants to reserve her voice. She said that she just doesn't like touring. She says it's not good for her mental health. And now she's blaming it on the venue. So she says, it's very hard to recreate the emotion of those intimate venues in packed stadiums. Putting on a show is great, but I want to savor the moment too. In that sense, the venue is key. And I get this. She likes to perform at the Chateau Marmont. She likes to perform in little intimate things. That is fine. But I just think her and her team need to like tell these interviewers to stop asking her about touring, because she has truly given us 7 different answers as to why she's not going on tour. And like, I love Miley. I love Miley's team. Miley's team has been incredible to me over the years. Like they have truly hooked me up, and I love her team. I love Miley. I'm not digging at them. But at what point are we going to step in and be like, hey, let's stop asking about touring, because now we're on the 7th lie and excuse as to why we're not going on tour. And it's just like, why bring it up? Like every time somebody brings up Miley Cyrus touring, it just is like a whole different answer and a whole different reason. And it's just getting tired. That being said, I guess we'll never see Miley Cyrus tour again. And if you have the chance to see her perform live in an intimate venue, hold on to it, cherish it. I am so happy that I got to see her at Rough Trade earlier this year, because I'm like, who knows next time I'll get to see her perform live, because it seems like she's going to have another excuse in the book for why she can't go on tour. And she is, that's fine. Like she has every reason not to want to go on tour. Like, I don't care that she doesn't want to go on tour. I'm just like, keep your story straight. Stop saying different reasons every single time, because it's like your multiple personalities are coming out, girl. It's like, we get it. You grew up being Hannah Montana and Miley Cyrus playing 2 different people, but the jig is up. The wig is off, girl. You are one person. You do not need to keep putting up this facade and like making up stories every time somebody asks. You have a publicist. I know that you do. Just tell them to sit next to you in the interview and tell the interviewer, hey, no touring questions. It is not that hard. It just, I don't know. It was just very strange to me. In other Miley news, really quick, she is going to have an original song in the upcoming Avatar Fire and Ash movie, in which she wrote with Mark Ronson and Andrew Wyatt. So people she had worked with in the past, people she holds near and dear to her heart when it comes to her music. So she shared on Instagram today that she is honored to support Avatar Fire and Ash with an original song that I wrote with Mark and Andrew. Having been personally affected by fire and being rebuilt from the ashes, this project holds profound meaning for me. Thank you, Jim, for the opportunity to turn this experience into musical medicine. The film's themes of unity, healing, and love resonate deeply within my soul, and to be even a small star in the universe the Avatar family has created is truly a dream come true. So that movie comes out later this year in December. It's just a very big movie that's coming out. I mean, the Avatar franchise is insane, and like we all remember, I mean, maybe some of us don't, but I remember like what a big deal the very first Avatar movie was, like the CGI and these blue people, and just like it was such a moment. And this movie is coming out, like I said, in in December, and I feel like it's going to be huge. So I love this endeavor for Miley, just kind of finding places to put her songs in music and creating original songs for movies. She did this for The Last Showgirl, which is out earlier this year. We're going to have this one. Maybe she'll get nominated for an Oscar. It's going to be a crazy Oscar run for Best Original Song. I mean, between Wicked, K-Pop Demon Hunters, now this, like, there are going to be so many contenders for Best Original Song at the Oscar, and like, I don't know who's going to take it. I mean, the song isn't even out yet. Maybe it won't even be nominated. Maybe it won't be that great. But it sounds really pretty from the snippet, so I'm very excited. I mean, Miley truly thrives in a vocal forward song. She doesn't need crazy production. It sounds a little more stripped back. So I'm very excited to see what is in store for this new track from Miss Miley Cyrus. But yeah, stop lying. Just stop telling us things that aren't true, and just stop letting people ask you about touring, because we know you don't want to do it. Just either say you don't want to do it or stop getting the question. Anyway, moving on to the next moment of the week that was just too pop to handle, our second to last moment. Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard are making some headlines for an Instagram caption that she posted for their 12th year wedding anniversary. So she has now limited the comments on her Instagram, but has not deleted the comments or turned them off. She just limited them. But the caption read, "Happy 12th anniversary to the man who once said to me, I would never kill you. A lot of men have killed their wives at a certain point. Even though I'm heavily incentivized to kill you, I never would." And the internet went crazy. Dateline commented on it saying, screenshotting this. People were commenting saying, oh, it's Domestic Abuse Awareness Month. How could you post this? This is not funny, not something to joke about. And I just do think everybody needs to take a deep breath. And I understand that as a hot take, but it's my podcast. Yes, it is a weird thing to post online. However, I do think the fact that like it's Kristen and Dax and like the two of them, they're kind of like a quirky couple, you know, they're kind of, this is what they do. They're like a weird out of the box type couple, you know, they always kind of have these like, not hot mic moments necessarily, but like, they're rich people who like don't read the room all the time. And I love both of them separately. I love them together. I mean, it's Dax Shepard and Kristen Bell. Like, what's not to love? And I just think the way that people are reacting to this is a little out of hand. Like it is literally statistically proven that the person that you marry is the person who is most likely to murder you if you were to be murdered. You've probably heard it in every single maid of honor speech. Like, people say this at weddings all the time. It is a very common thing that people say and joke about. And maybe it's not a funny joke. And like, obviously murder isn't something to laugh at or joke about. But I do think the way that people are reacting to this comment is a little, we can all take a deep breath. Like, Dax Shepard is not going to murder her. He is not making a joke about domestic violence. They are not making a joke about people who are murdered. Like, they are simply sharing an inside joke or something that they have said to each other. And like, they're very funny people. Like, this is Dax's sense of humor. And like, he's not a private person. He literally hosts one of the biggest podcasts in the world. And if anybody knows Dax Shepard and his humor and the way that he speaks, like, it's kind of just how he is. Like, I just feel like this was taken so out of context and so blown out of proportion. And when I read the caption, I was like, yeah, that's a little weird to post, but like, it's not the craziest thing to say. I don't know. It just is like, people love to take things and make it such a big deal when in reality, it's just like, when you boil it down and take away the celebrity and the whatever of it all, like, this is a husband and wife celebrating the 12th year anniversary with a funny inside joke that they make. And like, I think everyone really needs to take a deep breath. It is not that deep. And I'm like shocked that people are even so up in arms over it. Actually, I'm not, because nobody knows how to like relax and be like, oh my God, haha, like funny joke. Like, there's so much thing as a joke. There's such thing as like oversharing on the internet as well. And maybe that's what this was. But I just like seeing all of the takes that I'm seeing online about this. I'm like, guys, there are bigger issues in the world than Kristen Bell's 12th year anniversary Instagram caption to Dax Shepard. Like, this is not that serious. There are bigger things going on that we need to worry about. And I just think this was blown way out of proportion, like incredibly out of proportion in a way that I'm like, actually, I almost didn't even talk about it on the podcast, but I was like, I just need to give my 2 cents because A, that's what you do on a podcast, and B, people are really just running with this in a sense that like, we need to look out for Kristen Bell because Dax Shepard is going to murder her. And you're missing the point. They're celebrating their wedding anniversary. This is not that out of character for Dax Shepard or Kristen Bell to say. And I just think everyone needs to take a deep breath and touch some grass. Moving on, another situation and the final moment of the week that was just too pop to handle. Another moment where everybody needs to touch some grass and take a deep breath. The Euphoria cast, returning and new, was announced this week, and the internet is up in arms over it. And it's something that I say a lot on the podcast, but media literacy is so incredibly dead. So they shared a post over the weekend, or maybe it was last week, I don't know, talking about the returning cast and the new cast members joining the cast. So the returning cast, it included Melvin Bones Estes, Dominic Fike, Sophia Rhodes Wilson, Alana Ubach, Zach Steiner, Paul Marshall, like all of these people who we have seen in Euphoria before, and then a long list of new cast members, including Natasha Lyonne, Trisha Paytas, and a ton of other people who are joining the cast. And now people are losing their minds over this Euphoria post, assuming that the original core group of characters are not going to be in this third and final season. And now I understand that Euphoria is a very sensitive subject, considering it's been, 4 years since we got season 2? And we're like, when are we going to find out what's going on with Rue and that suitcase? Like, why is Rue narrating this show the entire time if we're watching it happen in real life? Like, what's the situation there? Like, there's a lot of unanswered questions. So I do think the third season is necessary, though it is insanely long and the cast has been through so much since the last season. But they literally announced months ago that Zendaya, Hunter Schafer, Eric Dane, Jacob Elordi, Sydney Sweeney, Alexa Demie, Maude Apatow, Martha Kelly, Chloe Cherry, Colman Domingo, and so many other people are going to be back in the cast, as well as announcing new people like Rosalia. And there's all these videos and stills of them all filming season 3. This was simply just another cast announcement. And the way that people fully just jumped into the Instagram comments and jumped down the Euphoria Instagram social media manager's throat and was like, what do you mean we're not getting Zendaya in this season? I'm not watching it. Like, guys, if you scroll 2 posts back, it literally says the returning cast includes all of the people that you guys are bitching and moaning about not coming back to this season. And it just further proves my point that media literacy is so incredibly dead. And like, maybe it was the fact that they like announced this out of nowhere randomly and like there was not the implication that the other post was still true. But like, if you go to their Instagram, it's still there. And if you follow Euphoria and the cast and all these things, it's already filmed. They were seen filming all of it months ago. Like, this is not new information. They're just simply building hype about these new people returning, or these new people joining, and the other people returning to the cast. Like, the way that people were up in arms over this was just so insane. And I just can't. I don't understand. Like, people need to take a breather before they leave an Instagram comment or go up in arms over what is happening on social media, because again, it is not that serious. Take a deep breath and like do a little research. Like, you guys love ChatGPT so much, put it into there. I'll give you permission. Like, it is so easy to fact check something and people just don't. They see one thing on Instagram and immediately that is the fact, that is the truth. It is insane to me. I cannot. Oh my God, I lied to you guys. That was not the final moment of the week. That was too pop to handle. We have one final thing that was too pop to handle. Very quick thing. But it is the fact that Colman Domingo has been announced as the Cowardly Lion in Wicked for Good. John M. Chu did say that we were going to find out who the voice was at the premieres next month. And then randomly they just announced that it was Colman Domingo on Tuesday, which I don't understand why they didn't just wait for the premiere, because I thought it would be a lot more fun had we gotten the announcement at the premiere and like we were all sitting there waiting for it. But at least now we know it's not James Corden. Maybe that's what they were worried about. People were going to be turned off thinking it was him because he's always been rumored to be in the movie. But rest assured, it is Colman Domingo as a Cowardly Lion. And honestly, like, this is really the perfect casting. Like, they have nailed every single role in this movie, even up to voicing the Cowardly Lion. I am so excited to hear Colman in this role. I'm curious how much the Cowardly Lion actually speaks in Wicked for Good, just considering what we know about Wicked and like how those characters, they play a big role into it, but they aren't necessarily like the biggest speaking role. So I am curious like how much he plays into the plot of this movie with the tweaks and the things that they've done. But I mean, I am thrilled to hear Colman in the movie, see him on the red carpets. This is going to be so exciting. And now even people are recirculating like the video from the Oscars when Cynthia and Ariana performed together. And they're like, Colman was the first one standing up. How long did they know that Colman was going to be the voice of the lion? Like, has this been under wraps since the first movie? Or is this a newer thing that they like went back and added him after? Because like you don't need a voice actor on set, you know, like you don't need them there to do it, especially with a lion like this, like they're CGIing it in. Like they didn't need him there, but like, was he on set with them? Was he there to kind of like take in what Oz was and how they created it? Like, I really want to know more about his involvement in the movie. Because if he did just go into a booth and like record the lines, totally fine with that. Like you're Colman Domingo, you can literally do no wrong. But on the other hand, I'm like, everybody always talks about how like unreal this set was and the way that they built out the poppy fields and Munchkin Land and the castle and everything. And I'm very curious of like what his involvement was in the movie, if he was in London at all, if he was there for the reshoots earlier this year. Like I would love to know more about his involvement, and I'm sure that we'll get that as the press tour rolls out. Also just hope that he's like on the press tour now. I feel like that's such a fun new element, you know, when you're doing a sequel to a movie or a second part to a movie, whatever you want to spin it as. Like obviously the cast just did all the press tours last year, so they do kind of need something to spice it up a little bit. And they have heard that they're going to do some different approaches at the press tours. I'm not going to say anything because I don't think I'm allowed to, but that's neither here nor there. But what I've heard about the press tours and the way that they're doing it differently, I was like, oh, they need something to kind of like spice it up a little bit. And I think Colman on the press tours with them is going to be fantastic. Also, really quick, can we talk about Wicked Instagram literally spoiling the plot of the second half of the movie and posting the cast posters of Fiyero as the Scarecrow and Bach as Tin Man? Like, I'm not going to go further into it because like there's not much to say, but like the fact that they posted those character posters and you can fully tell like Fiyero, Jonathan Bailey, is standing in a scene full of straw in which the Scarecrow is made out of straw, and then Bach, Ethan Slater, is standing surrounded by tin, which the Tin Man is a man made out of tin, which, sorry if you didn't know, but Fiyero turns into the Scarecrow and Bach turns into the Tin Man through Elphaba and her endeavors in the second movie trying to protect them. And there's been all this conversation online about like, is this a spoiler? Is it not? The movie, I mean, the musical has been around for 22 years. The book was, I mean, this doesn't happen in the book necessarily. It is a musical adaptation that they added to, but like, this media and this story has been around for so long that I'm like, there's no such thing as a spoiler for something that has been out for almost 3 decades, you know? But I was really shocked that like they waited up until a month before the movie came out to just be like, oh, by the way, here's another spoiler for you guys. And like the rest of the movie is basically out also, which is a whole nother thing. But nonetheless, Colman Domingo is the lion, Fiyero is the Scarecrow, Bach is the Tin Man, and the movie will be out in less than a month. And I cannot fucking wait. And that wraps up all of our moments from the week that were just too pop to handle, but we are not done just yet. You guys know the drill. We have some TV to recap, and my God, was this some good TV that we are recapping. I did not watch this week's episode of Salt Lake City yet, but the episode from last week was truly one of the best episodes of the entire franchise. I cannot get over it. It was the episode Whitney did the wine tasting with the tarot card reader, and the girls were just fighting for 45 minutes. They literally sat at that winery for the entire episode. Like, it is rare that a housewife episode starts and finishes in the same place. They spent the entire 45 minutes of this episode fighting at this winery, and it was so good. I was eating up every single second of it. Obviously, the big thing of it was really Lisa versus Angie, which has been such a huge plot of this entire season thus far. And honestly, at this point, I think it's a dead friendship and just like fully dead stock. Like, they have said so many irreversible things to each other about their family, about their business, about their money situations, about their marriages and potential affairs and cheating. Like, they are just so far past ever being friends. Or at least, like, if I was in their situation and somebody was saying that about me, like, that is not somebody I would ever want to rekindle things with. And like, the fact that like they rekindled last week and then Lisa tore it down by sending her assistant there and they were going back and forth, and then like now they're doing this and they're giving their gifts back and just like making such a spectacle of it, it really does seem I just think the two of them fully need to like really separate themselves or like learn how to coexist and like be in the same space without being at each other's neck, because the way that they just like come in swinging on every single episode. Now, again, I haven't watched this week's episode, so I don't know if anything's resolved or anything happens, but I'm assuming not because it's only been a week of TV time. I just think Lisa and Angie are done, and I don't think there's any recovering any relationship that they once had, which is sad because they were so close, but like, things happen. Relationships, friendships, you know, they come and go. It is what it is, unfortunately. Maybe in like 3-4 years they can rekindle, but I just think right now things are way too hot between the two of them. And like, they just need to like take a breather. And I do think a lot of this is internalized stuff where like Lisa kind of talks about going through stuff in her marriage, and Angie's kind of been really defensive of her marriage, the way Lisa's attacking it. And Angie's going through a lot with her dad, you know, coming up. We know that he has since passed, and just a lot going on for the two of them with, I mean, Lisa's son away on the mission and everything. Like, I think this is kind of the two of them just lashing out at each other, and it's not as personal as they're making it to be, but like they are saying some really hurtful things to each other, and both of them are. Like, neither of them are right for the things that they're saying. They're definitely, you know, provoking each other, but I do think this is something that is just like, they need to just like stop beating a dead horse and let this ride out, because it just... what's the point? Like, why are they just going to keep screaming at each other? And also, who is the soup man? Like, who is this soup man that Lisa brings up about Angie? Because I still don't know, and I'm still confused. I don't know, but this was fucking good TV, let me tell you. Bronwyn and all of her comments talking about Britney being a gold digger and her hair, and Bronwyn's comments this episode, it just goes to show that she truly is surrounded by gay people all the time. Like, she was using such incredible reads and such sly shade that like you didn't even realize it was an insult because of the way that she said it, but they were such good clapbacks and good insults. You can just tell the way that that woman is always surrounded by gay people, the way that she was throwing shade at these other women, and I was obsessed. I literally DM'd her and I was like, girl, I am rolling on the floor over your comeback, and she just wrote a bunch of laughing emojis back. Like, I literally was like, I need to let you know you are incredible this season. I am loving everything you were selling. And she's going through so much at home too. Like, she is still sharp as a tack. I'm obsessed. I fucking love Bronwyn. She is everything. Another episode of Britney complaining about Jared. I mean, it's every week now. And I know that her and her daughter have a conversation in this next episode. So I'm curious to see how that goes and see how kind of it plays out as we keep going. But I do think her and Jared are in real time together. So whatever conversation she has with her daughter clearly doesn't patch that up, but I guess we'll see. The way that Mary flipped on Angie was really wild, and I'm really curious to see how they rekindle things, because Mary was like a short temper with her. Like, she instantly heard one thing she didn't want to hear from Angie and was like, I'm done with you. Nope, I'm out. And like flipped the script on her really fast. So really curious to see how that pans out as well, because it just seems like everybody is mad at each other. And then there's Whitney and Heather just kind of like hanging out and like doing their thing. So very curious to see how the housewives land. This is going to be a very good reunion. I'm already calling it now. I don't want the season to end yet, obviously, because we have a lot more to go, I think. But this reunion is going to be good because there is so much happening already that like, what else is going to unfold, and like, what is Andy going to bring up? You know, he's going to stir the pot and bring something up and just try to really, you know, heat things up with the girls the way that he does. He knows how to get under their skin so well. So I'm very excited for the reunion, though I have a lot more to watch, obviously, and I cannot wait to see the rest of this season. And before I leave you guys for this week, you guys know the drill. We wrap up every single episode with a yes and a mess. A yes being something I am loving, and a mess being something I am not loving. And we always start things on a high note here at Too Pop to Handle. So kicking it off with my yes of the week, I need to right my wrongs and admit when I am wrong, because Audrey Hobart was on Fallon this week performing Sue Me, and now I have purposely avoided talking about, listening to, diving into Audrey Hobart because I just didn't think it was for me. I didn't get it. I was like, what is she doing? What is this act she's putting on? And then I saw her Fallon performance, and I hate when televised performances and marketing works, but my God, I was obsessed. I loved every second of it. I was like, she is so weird and I love it. And something about this performance just made it click for me. I haven't listened to the whole album yet. My coworkers played a little bit of it at work today, and I was like, okay, wait, I see the vision. But I think I'm getting the Audrey Hobart thing. And I think I have this series that I'm conceptualizing in my head of like listening to artists' albums that I haven't listened to before and making videos about them. Cat's Eye, Audrey Hobart. I have a lot of artists that I'm like, I've never really dove into their discographies or anything. So I need to do that and actually do it. But I think Audrey Hobart and I think I'm about to dive in and I think I'm going to love what I hear. So I'll keep you guys posted. I definitely want to make a video about it because I think it would be really fun to just like react to it for the first time because she is having such a moment. And I think she is very polarizing. But man, that Fallon performance, it worked. Like, I hate when marketing works so well because like that's the point of these performances, to captivate new audiences. And my God, what I captivated. The way that she like was on the phone at the beginning, I was like, oh, we're doing it now? Okay. And like cues the band in. Genius. It's so good. It's such an act and so well thought out. And it seems so effortless, very Brat-esque, where it seems so effortless, but it's clearly really calculated. And like, this is the reason why they're doing it. And I love it. I'm obsessed. And I judged her too soon. Now, again, I'm not saying like I love her and she's the best thing ever, but I definitely had my reservations. And I was like, I'm not even going to listen to the album because like, I don't want to even bother because I'm not going to like it. It's going to waste my time. But I always say I can admit when I'm wrong. I can bite my tongue and say, no, I was wrong here. And I think I'm going to be pleasantly surprised. So I will keep you guys updated on my Audrey Hobart journey. However, this Fallon performance, it's doing what it needs to do. And I loved every second of that cringy fucking performance. It was great. And now shifting gears over to my mess, these two ladies are no stranger to the mess category of this podcast. It is Selena Gomez and Hailey Bieber, specifically Selena Gomez, but just the whole situation, I'm so fucking over. So if you did not see, Hailey was interviewed by New York Magazine, I believe it was, and they were like poking the bear. They were trying to get her to talk shit about Selena, saying, now you're in Rare Beauty. How does that feel? Do you feel like you're being compared to anybody? Selena Gomez's name was never mentioned in the actual interview that was spoken to Hailey. Selena Gomez's name was written up in the article after, which is where the problem started. But I will say the interviewer never said Selena's name. It was definitely implied that it was about Selena, but Hailey gave a very PR friendly response. She said there was room for everybody. I don't look at other people to create my brand or to compare myself. Like, I navigate in my own lane, on my own space, as there is lanes and spaces for everybody else in Sephora, in whatever beauty brand. The beauty industry is so oversaturated. Like, everybody has a beauty line. Everybody's doing the same thing. Like, it's the way of the world. Everybody has their own lane that they can stay in. Very PR, very safe. She knew what she was doing. It was very smart the way that she answered, and I do give her credit for answering the way that she did. But Selena Gomez had to go on her Instagram and posted, just leave the girl alone. She can say whatever she wants. Doesn't affect my life whatsoever. It's just about relevance, not intelligence. Be kind. All brands inspire me. There is room for everyone, and hopefully we can all stop. Now, Selena Gomez. You cannot say be kind when 6 words before this, you said it's just about relevance, not intelligence. She just sold her business for $1 billion. She does not need to use Rare Beauty to stay relevant. And the fact that the two of them are married, Hailey with a kid, Selena literally is probably on her honeymoon posting this. I think they both need to if they speak on each other ever again and anybody mentions anybody. Now, I know Hailey is not wrong in the situation. I will fully say that. And, in the past she has been, but in this terms, it is Selena. I just think the next time any of them bring each other up, mention each other, shade each other, whatever it is, I think they need to take a product out of Sephora or truly do something that hurts their brand and their business, because it is at a point where it's we cannot keep these two from talking about each other. Even when one of them takes the high road and doesn't, take a swing at the other one takes it and is leave her alone, be kind, but she's fucking stupid. It's just the two of them are obsessed with each other. And I'm just why don't you guys just admit that you're in love and kiss? Why don't you guys divorce your husband and admit that the two of you are in love with each other and are just do it. You guys are obsessed with each other. You're in love with each other. It is so clear. I don't know what else it is. The way that they live rent free in each other's minds, no matter how much they want to say that they don't. Come on. Be so fucking serious. This is just so uncalled for. And like I said, Hailey is right in this instance. She did not do anything wrong. But just the whole situation, it's come on. Calm the fuck on. And the interviewer is wrong, really, for even bringing it up. But I can't hear about these two anymore. I can't do it. They're both wrong. They're both annoying. And like either kiss and make up or never speak of each other in any instance ever again. Yeah. And that's my take. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Too Pop to Handle. If you're listening to us as a podcast, make sure you go ahead and leave us a 5-star rating. It seriously is the best way to help support the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and hit subscribe and drop a big thumbs up. If you would like some extra moments of the week that were just Too Pop to Handle in between podcast episodes, make sure you head to toopoptohandle.substack.com. I have it linked down below, and subscribe to my weekly newsletter Popping In, where I share extra moments of the week that were Too Pop to Handle in between podcast episodes. If all of that is not enough, you can go ahead and follow me on social media at Too Pop to Handle or at Andrew Nucatola across all platforms. And with that, I will catch you guys next week. Bye.